physical wealth. Hello. Today, it's Monday. What is it? July? No, it's July the 18th, 2025. Had some things. This is a live, and we get comments in. So I make sure you comment. I'm gonna get to the comments, but please feel free to comment. This is Adroit Living, and on Adroit Living, I like to talk about how we are innately being skillful and witty with our hands and making the things that we want, even if we don't have the resources we need or what may be happening. I don't know if somebody can say something in the comments, show me what's going on. But anyway, we're going to try to give it a chance to reboot itself, I guess. I don't know. What are we doing here? So, I don't know. I'm not a camera person. I'm not a camera, lights, action, microphone in your face type person. So all of this is unnerving for me, but I'm trying to get used to it. Just bear with me. But as I was saying, the purpose for this show is to help people with their mental health, because a lot of times there's a disconnect for our mental health and well-being, because we're not making the associations more clear. There's a great deal of ambiguity, and I would like to help with that. For example, there was a great deal of ambiguity with studies for academia and practitioners. Practitioners are the people who are boots on the ground. They're the ones who have their hands on everything. They're the ones who know what's going on because they get it first. And academia, they're more the theoretical philosophy type of, people who are pulling the strings in the background behind the curtain. So it's important to make that link. And the link is the mental health and well-being. The reason why is because every human has this mental unspoken situation that's going on in the background. So mentally, for example, I know you at work sometime and you want to say some things. You really, really want to say some things, but you can't say it. In your head, you probably said a whole lot of things and did a whole lot of things, but realistically and vocally, you can't express those things. Well, nowadays with what's going on, it's so much of a mental strain. People are not just saying things. They're not using their inner voice. They're not using the voice that's just in their head speaking. They are acting out these thoughts, these intrusive thoughts. They're acting out these feelings that they're having, and they're saying what they feeling. And a lot of times we don't know what's going on and how we are just snapping and going postal. So watch the previous episodes where I explained a great deal of that, because these episodes build on one another in order to create that holistic picture that's required for your mental stability. Okay, so make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because when you can't say it, it's a video out there that says it. And I really appreciate how a lot of people who are social media influencers have taken the messages and expounded on them, shared them with their audience in their own unique way, and kind of delivered a message in a way where more people can benefit from the knowledge and information. I like to use factual information because it helps with mental health. Facts that I use are derived from centuries old revelations and enlightenments. And I show them in a way that we are implementing them in the modern day. Why do I do that? Because nowadays there's so much conditioning for people to be monotone, for them to have a one track, one mind, one culture type of behavior. And that's messing with a lot of people's mental health, because people don't work that way. They don't function that way. They cannot be manipulated to be a hive mind, hive behavior. And that in and of itself, even without anybody saying you have to assimilate, you have to be the same that I am, without them even saying that, people are understanding that they're picking up on those mental cues, and those mental cues have led us to wonder, are we in a modern day warfare? We have seen how other countries overseas have implemented these types of warlike mentalities and behaviors, and we're looking at our own country in America, and we're like, what's really going on? And we're looking at various people who snap and they behave outside of the norm and outside of what the expectancy for social interaction and behavior is, and we're not understanding why are they behaving this way, what's going on, and we're questioning, we're asking, make it make sense, this math isn't mathing, what's going on? That's basically what people are asking. What is it that's happening that's causing this kind of behavior, especially when these people do not even know one another, but they're behaving uncharacteristically in the same way? So one person in a different state in America mentally snaps, and then you have another person in a different state in America who mentally snaps in the same behavior, using the same um, behavioral patterns that are outside of the norm. And we're not making the correlation to say, hey, this is what's happening. What's happening is it possible that we're in a modern day warfare? And let's think about that for just a moment. How do we conclude, these questions that we have? Well, centuries ago, two sides were established inherently in Western civilization. They created this thing where Martin Luther and Calvinism just, well, it was the physical work that was the Martin Luther, and then the Calvinism was the mental worker. So as time developed, people began to realize they could steal workers' accomplishments, then rebrand it the same stolen work as their own accomplishments. And over centuries of time, that became an American norm. And a lot of people were like, well, I'm aware that you stole that work from the original person, the original developer, and you can't advance the work in the way that they can because they're the originator. They created it, but they told them, well, this is how it works. This is the system. And because they did that, it started the ball rolling with this mental health decline. And as a result, we end up in a situation where a lot of people are just lulled to sleep. And that's where you heard the whole phrase where it was starting to trend, woke, where people were then again twisting that definition and saying that it was something that it wasn't. But that too was messing with it was causing a mental health decline. And the more that people were being gaslit, it continued to cause a snowball effect of mental decline, where a lot of people were failing to get out of that hole. And it was like, how did we get here? Well, you know, consequently, as a result of all of the things that led up to it, and what I just said a moment ago about how they rebrand these things and change twist the narratives and change definitions of words. Well, consequently to that, it's setting a new norm and developing a modern day civil war, which inherently designed to be the most sneakiest and longest ongoing war ever to be told. And a lot of people are like, I don't know what's going on. If you ever heard a soldier who came back from war who is describing what they were going through, the things they endured. They knew they were going into war. So it was different than not knowing. But when suddenly you as a soldier, you enter into a situation where um you think everything's okay, but you're being ambushed and you don't know it. Well, that's the sneakiest type of war, in a war that you're aware of. But in a modern day type civil war where you have modern day warfare tactics, the sneakiest ideology of warfare in that instance is to have these people, the victims, to be unaware that they're even at war, that they're even being attacked. And how do you do that? Well, you make it so that they don't listen to the people who would warn them. And when you find that, you're like, well, somebody told them, but they didn't believe them because we successfully nullified those voices so that the people won't hear them. And in modern day, you have the algorithm, the internet algorithm, which gears the viewers to see what it is that's the algorithm desires for the people to see, as opposed to the things that the viewer is actually searching for. Now, I showed you some books in some previous videos of how to know about computer programming and networking and all that sort of thing. So make sure you binge watch them previous episodes. There's some gold in them there videos. I'm just going to say. And we don't have time to keep going back over it. And there's no need because it's in recording. So you just go back and visit it. So also moving on, we have seen a war against kind, forgiving, hard workers, both physical laborers and mental laborers, against all those who have the mind to steal, the heart to kill. They and the desire to destroy, no matter the cost, logic, or morality, and at any time. And those are the people who are the ones that are attacking. And that's what they're attacking. And that's their motivation. The sneakiest parts are distracting people with lies of loyalty, favor, and remedial rewards while promising bigger and better rewards to come over time. A lot of people were not on board with this sneak attack, and it was declining their mental health, and they were asking questions like, why would we do this? Why are you doing this? You shouldn't do that to those people. That's a hard worker. That worker is knowledgeable. That community, why are you doing that to that community? That community is very kind and open and embracing and welcoming and embracing the other cultures, and you're harming them, and it's causing me a mental health decline, but they don't care. And you in realizing they don't care, you're starting to have these problems where you're like, they don't care. I don't have nobody to talk to. Nobody understands me. And they don't understand that you're slowly becoming aware that you're being targeted in the midst of this war. You're being used in this war. And you, coming to your own awareness, are now in jeopardy. And then you realize you're in jeopardy. So as a result, you have different people. And when I say you, I mean you as in general. But you have different people in different states acting out in the same way when they mentally snap, because it was it was a pattern of behavior that was innate in the message, innate in the conditioning, innate in the behavior, that the treatment that you were being treated. And people thought that if I tell people, if I condition people in this way, they won't understand, they won't get it. And I can keep them submissive. I can keep them controlled. I can keep them wanting more and doing above and beyond without ever bringing into fruition any of the promises. And now you have people who are going on social media and even the news, and they're saying, they're pointing it out to these people: you were victimized and you didn't know it. And now that you're asking for just a little bit of information and facts about the things you want to know, the things you want enlightenment on, that the information that should be transparent to you and is not. And instead, they throw all of this other stuff at you, and they expect that you're going to be able to juggle all these balls that's coming at you, even though you're struggling to have a stable foundation. And they throwing all these balls, throwing it, and you keep on juggling, and you like, oh, and you fall. You fall. And you may be in one state, and another state, somebody is falling just as you have, and you both act out in the same behavior, which no one really wants to see. No one really wants to see. And it's like, oh, well, why are these people? Why is this happening? What's going on? We know what's going on. And it's been tried so many times and in so many ways to push the information, push the facts, and the support and help, love and understanding. But like I told you, there are people who are out there who are warring against the kind, the forgiving, the hard workers, both physical laborers and mental laborers. They're warring against all those who have the mindset that, oh, we need to do the right thing. Oh, I was not aware that I was in the wrong, and now I would like to change and go in the right direction. And it's like they're warring against that. And you coming into more of an understanding and an awareness, you're not, like all the balls that's being thrown at you with each awareness that you're having, because these people have the mindset to steal and cause fatal consequences, regardless of logic, regardless of the cost, and regardless of the time and morality or lack thereof. And a lot of people are like, okay, if this should be my fate, then this is the one thing I will control, how I'm going to go out. And that's why historically we learned that, wrote it down in books, and said, this is what happened in history. This is something we cannot repeat. And that's why there was a lot of people who said we can't go back. We cannot go back, because your mental health will not sustain going back to those behaviors, because nobody wants those outcomes. And it's like we couldn't really support that kind of outcome in a society where humanity is the development of people, how people are being born, how many people we're losing, that the numbers aren't matching up. We're losing more people than we're making. And if you think about it as a business model, if you're having a higher volunteer, voluntary quitting, a retention problem, but you're not hiring new hires at a ratio that allows you to offset the fact of your losses. You're going to run out of business. You're going to go out of business really soon. And that's what we're seeing in society. We're seeing a lot more people have a mental health decline and a lot more lives lost than we are seeing of those people who have a stable mental health ability and an increase in the production of human life. Therefore, you have not only a failing economy because of the losses in that manner, but the losses are also financial. They're financial because nobody's concerned about making money when they're concerned about their life and their mental well-being. That's why I did this show, because a lot of people were trying to figure out, how are we losing money? I just explained it. A lot of people are saying, well, why is the economy still failing? I just explained it. So rewind if you didn't catch it. I know it kind of snuck up on you because I don't announce what I'm going to tell you in order for you to get the understanding that you need to derive. Because a lot of times when you get it for yourself, you don't need nobody to tell you. Just lead you to water and you drink it and it nourishes you because you allowed it. You took the acts by taking the opportunity that was presented to you. So a lot of times, yeah, I may talk a little funny, but I need you to get it. I need you to get it for yourself, because when somebody gives it to you, especially if it's for free, you don't often ingest it and digest it over time so that it benefits you directly. So you have to binge watch those episodes. I challenge people to binge watch my previous episodes at least 3 times, each time having a different perspective so that you can get it in different ways. And I guarantee it's going to hit you different. It's going to hit you different because you're going to have a different mindset. You're going to have a different level of understanding. You're going to know what I'm saying and what I'm getting at before I get to it in that particular rewatch. And then it's going to start hitting you slower and slower and slow until you just a whole bright light come over you. And you like, now I get it. Now I understand. Now I know what to do with it. There was this other thing I did. I put it in a book. I put it in a book so that you will be able to have something to hold on to. It's called Generational Wealth, Information Asymmetry, and Your Success. Go to lulu.com, lulu.com, and get it. So you're not paying the over prices that other people are trying to get you to pay so that you can be less motivated to get the book. In that book, I did everything I could possibly do to jar your attention to the information on the pages. Focus. Focus on the information, the facts that's written, as opposed to being distracted by everything else. It's pictures. It's a picture book. Enjoy the pictures. Pictures help people remember things. As a psychologist, I wrote that book, and I assure you, it is going to help a great deal with things that you have been experiencing, both mentally and physically. It can help you to move forward. What is information asymmetry? Information asymmetry means that there's information people have and you will never have it. You won't have it, even if they call themselves sharing the information. We already know that a lot of times people don't share information. They don't share all the information for various reasons. A lot of times the main reason is because they want to feel useful. So they'll hold information back so that you can go back to them, making them feel useful, and ask them more questions. It's understandable that people want you to revisit them. People want to feel useful. People want to feel important. It's understandable. But how can you fix it so that it's successful for you, even amid information asymmetry? You got to get the book. You got to get the book. What Generational Wealth, Information Asymmetry, and Your Success by Tina Phillips. Go to lulu.com and grab your copy today. You can understand things in a different way after you read the book in its entirety. It's a very small book. It's not even 100 pages. I'm just saying. Anyway, back to the topic of the day. All right. Not just where you can get some help, some self-help, or start your self-help journey with that book, but with these shows that are free and on YouTube. So go back and look at those videos. But in this modern day warfare, we see the plan has always been to get the children at first availability because they're always the greatest asset and even pawns in any strategy. Why do we say that? Because history shows that that there were always times where people would train up a child in the way the child should go. So with that ideology in play, people understood if you want a society to go in the way you are conditioning it to go, you got to start with the kids. You got to grab the kids, train them as children, and then you will have the future because everybody knows the children are the future. It was a song even. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. But they're being conditioned as to what way it should go and what way it should be. So even though it's written in old history books like the Bible, that if you take a child and you raise it in the way you want that child to go, that's how it translates to a lot of modern day behavior when they're taking these children and conditioning them. That is what what they're doing. They're translating it that way as opposed to what is really written. What is really written as train the child in a way that they understand to love and fear God so that they will follow what's innately in them from the moment they were called into existence. A lot of people think that you were born from the moment you entered your mom's womb from your daddy's semen. That's not the way that happened. The way it happened was you were called into existence. Then something happened with the seed and the egg, your dad's seed and your mama's egg. And when it got together, there was this thing that a lot of people don't talk about. It's a brain. And that brain, it already has wrinkles. How can it have wrinkles if you're supposed to develop these wrinkles by new thoughts and complex experiences? How can it be that you have these brain wrinkles where there's a lot of complexity in the development of the seed, the egg, and being called into existence? So your essence being called into existence to make this egg and this seed viable so that when it is born, it is you. And if you've ever gone to I grew up in Chicago, and there's a science museum of arts and industry. I believe it's called the Museum of Science, Arts, and Industry. I think I can't remember, but there's an exhibit in there, and I was kind of freaked out. I ain't gonna lie. When they showed this baby in this jar, in this mason jar, at different stages of development in the mom's womb, it freaked me out because I'm like, y'all got this baby. It's a real baby, and it's in this jar. It's in this mason jar being preserved for science so that we can take field trips from schools and whatever organizations that take you there, and they're showing you this baby in a jar, and then they're showing you human brains at different developmental stages as well. And every time you look at those things, you seeing, well, I don't know what you seeing, but I saw hurt. I saw harm. I saw danger. I was afraid. I was scared. I was like, this is what's happening when babies are developed in the womb. And then it made me question what's happening before the baby is recognizable as a human, when it's the seed and the egg. There's something happening there, and that's that speaking into existence that only God can do. That's why no matter what man does, they can't, you could put a scientist, we can put an egg and a man's semen together, but it cannot generate life because it's lacking that speaking into existence that only God can do. And our mental health is disturbed by the fact that we know the facts. We know this is how this develops, that we have a man's seed and a woman's egg and we put it together and that's supposed to create life. But there's something missing. There's a lot missing because you need that speaking into existence in order for the brain to develop. And the brain has these wrinkles, and the wrinkles are caused by complex thinking and complex experiences. And that is what we see when we go to the museum and you see the brain in its various developmental stages. And nobody ever asks the questions. How does it have these brain wrinkles already if it has never experienced life outside of the womb? And why can we never create real human life, sustainable life, if we know the chemistry behind it? I'm just trying to tell you, because a lot of these answers lead to complex thinking that can help jar you out of the mental conditioning that you're in, that's going in a way that's more fatalistic because you're trying to juggle all these other balls. Let's go back to formal logic so we can stop with the fact that there's a war going on, and it's a mental warfare, and it's causing a lot of people to snap in fatalistic ways. It's causing a lot of people, even before you can even get to that point, it's causing a lot of people that when you speak, they hear something totally different. They're not even hearing what you're saying because they're so deep in their head with the modern war, the warfare that's going on. It's like a soldier who is at war and he in the trenches. He's deep in the trenches. And all the things that he was learned before he got in them trenches, going out the window, he can't hear it no more. He can't hear it because he's deep in the trenches and he's trying to survive. And then suddenly gets ambushed and he's like, I got to think of something really quick and on the spot to get myself out of this. That's where America is. They're deep in the trenches, realizing they're in the middle of an ambush where they're being told things that aren't true. They're being told that the marginalized communities are the communities that's being targeted. And that's not true because it's not a color of skin. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And that's what I've said in previous episodes. It's about the mindset of the people who are willing to do the things that it is. Okay, I'm going to say it again. It's the mindset of the people who are willing to, what is it? Willing to go against anybody, whether they're physical laborers, mental laborers, or even disabled. Even if they're on the spectrum, they do not care because they don't have any logic, any reasoning. They don't have any morality, and they're willing to steal. They have the heart to end lives. I'll put it that way. And they have the desire to destroy, no matter what the cost, no matter what the logic, and absent of all morality. And they're willing to do it at any time. And a lot of people are not aware that this is what they're in. But when they find themselves in it, it's like being ambushed. It's like being ambushed and they're snapping mentally. because for a long time you were conditioned to believe that it was a color of skin. A lot of times you were thinking that, oh, well, it depends on your social status, your economic environment, it's none of those things. It's none of those things. And when you come to the conclusion that it's not, it's too late. You're in the middle of being ambushed and you don't know what to do because you weren't conditioned to respond. You were conditioned to give up. That's that learned helplessness that scientists are well aware of, psychologists well aware of. When you learn how failing makes you feel helpless because you were giving impossible tasks, so your inability to perform causes you to fail and feel helpless. That's that learned helplessness. I'm going to repeat it. You learn how to feel helpless. You learn how to give up instead of fight. That's a learned behavior, and it's coming from that conditioning, the conditioning that was happening back when you was a child. So you'd be raised in that manner, so you behave in the predictable way that you're behaving. But let me tell you something. For those who believe in God, they pray because God specializes in the impossible. Man must never cease to pray. That's what it was said. But for those who do not stop praying, it's clear that that man is, for those men who do stop praying, it's clear because they fallen prey to these things, these conditionings and these behaviors and these patterns that we're like, what is going on? What are you doing? And it's clear that that man is not a man to follow. Or that person, that woman, that child, whomever it is you following, when it becomes clear that those people they're in impossible situations, but they can't get out, a lot of times I've seen people ask the question, how are you enduring these hardships? They're coming fast and fast. They got all these balls hit coming at you and you juggling them and you trying and you not standing on firm, solid foundation. How are you managing? How are you staying stable? God specializes in the impossible. And a lot of times, the only way you're going to see it is you have to try it for yourself. You got to pray. You got to pray and realize and come to understand it because God don't care about what color your skin is either. He don't care. He knows what's going on. And a lot of times permit what's going on because you need to understand that your free will needs to lead you to do the things that you're supposed to do as opposed to doing the things you're conditioned to do. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Even though you are conditioned to behave in the manner in which people are trying to control your fate, your freedom, your mental health and well-being. Even though that's happening, despite all of that, despite them throwing all these balls at you and you trying to juggle and you don't have a firm foundation to stand on, even if you don't believe in no God. I've had atheist friends and they was quicker to call on God than I was when a situation occurred. It occurred spontaneously, and before I realized it, they calling on God. Meanwhile, I'm trying to mentally digest what just happened. What's going on? And they're God, oh my God. I'm like, what? But I'm not my mind ain't even on the situation anymore. I'm just shocked that they calling on God. I'm like, did you just say God? Did you just start praying? I thought you didn't believe in God. And they tell me things like, this ain't the time for that. This is not the time for that, Tina. I ain't playing no more. Did you see what just happened? We almost died. And you want to tell me I'm an atheist? That's that situation where you jarred out of that conditioning that you're in and you resort back to formal logic. So this is why God permits these things, because he's jarring you out of those things. Why? Because he loves you enough that he'll send his only begotten son to help give you the message of the way. So clearly he'll do enough to jar you back to your formal logic by allowing you to endure these things and survive them if you pray. You looking at all these people who do pray, who quick to say, won't he do it? And you looking at them like, why you saying some won't he do it when he ain't done it for you? Why you saying won't he do it when you going through hell and can't dig your way out? Why you saying won't he do it when you are being disproportionately attacked and targeted? Why would you do that when your mental health is declining at the same ratio as everybody else's? Well, I just told you. You might want to rewind and try to see it again. I told you. It is the matter of the fact that just that mustard seed of faith in the moment of your greatest hour of need, that sincerity that's coming out. It's like, man, you really meant that. You meant that more than you meant anything else. You said that with your chest. You said that with your whole soul. And I believed you and I felt you. And I'm standing right here next to you. And I thought you were trying to talk to me and tell me, why am I believing in a God I can't see? Meanwhile, something happened right in the midst of you trying to convert me. Our lives are in danger, and the first thing you call is God. The same God you just told me don't believe in. The same God you just told me doesn't exist. The same God you try to convince me don't really care about me because of the hardships I'm enduring disproportionately. The same God that you said didn't give me the message to give to you, to help you, to help see you through, because God wishes that no soul should be lost. So he does all of these things. That's why we're enduring these hardships, because he wishes that no soul should be lost. And why is your mental health under such attack? Because that a man believes, so is he. And if you believe, then you have a behavior that goes along with that belief. And because you have that belief, these things are happening. Because you're exhibiting the behavior that's showing what you believe, these things are happening. So even if you see when you attempt to outwit people of faith, you must consider the people of faith's source of help, because it's not the people, it's the source. You're looking for, when you attack these people, you're looking for them to come back at you hard. You waiting for the other shoe to drop. You like, I know about slavery. I know about cultural oppression based simply on the fact of the color of the skin, based simply on the fact of where you grew up, based simply on the fact of your social status, how much money you make, where you live, who you hang around, who you know. Because it's not just on the basis of the color of skin, it's many reasons. So don't be so narrow-minded. Anyway, when it comes to find that you realize that those are not the people, those victims not coming back at you, and they're quick to forgive you, embrace you, and even help you in the midst of your need, when it's you. When it's your turn to be the victim, the aware victim, I should say, because I already told you in the beginning of this episode, you are being targeted. You just don't know it. There's a difference between being aware and not aware. Rewind. You got to watch the whole episode, because you're just not going to get it outside of that. I understand people love to do these shorts, but a lot of times you got to just stick around for the whole story so you can get a holistic picture, as opposed to getting bits and pieces and running with it in the wrong direction and then wonder why nobody chasing up after you. They're not chasing after you anymore, because if you want to go in the wrong direction, we don't have time for that, because we juggling our own mental health and well-being. We fighting for our own souls. We'll have time. Jesus paid it all. He already did it. You aren't following that way. Well, Jesus tried. Who am I to help you? If he couldn't do it, nobody can. A lot of people are coming to that understanding. You have to consider the source when you're sitting there trying so hard to attack people who aren't attacking you. Those people, the source, that's what you got to worry about. The victims you're attacking, they don't have the ability to do anything other than when they finally give up the ghost, when they finally breathe their last breath, they tell God what happened. They're telling God, well, I starved to death, God. Didn't you see me suffering? Didn't you hear me wailing and begging and pleading for food? Well, God, somebody came in, and as I was trying to do the right thing, they ended me. Didn't you see them standing there, setting up the ambush? Yes. The answer is yes. He saw it. Nobody can control the weather but God. Nobody's controlling these natural disasters that we are naming it. But centuries ago, there was some native people, native islanders, who told you and warned you that you have to do things that's pleasing in God's sight so he will calm the rains and the winds and the earth quaking. And when Jesus came, he showed you. He showed you. When he walked on troubled waters, the waters were raging. The ocean was raging. It capsizes boats. It takes entire ships completely out. Look at the Titanic. They built that thinking they can beat God. And God used that as an example to show, no, you can't. You put your faith where it needs to be. And a lot of times we are seeing the examples, but we don't elaborate on them. We don't tell people this is what it is. This is why. This is what happened. You don't understand. It's not what you thinking. It's not what you being conditioned to believe and understand and trust. That's why you don't have that firm foundation, because that foundation is built on these things that's unsustainable. It's built on all these things that you cannot sustain. And when you try to stand on it and they're throwing all these balls at you and you juggling, you fall. You fall in a predictable way. Some people escape that area so that they're not the ones that, fall prey to when you finally do fall. But if you consider these examples of who the source is that you're tampering with, the people of faith, you're tampering with the people of faith. But if you consider the source, then you start to remember that there's an angry God in these examples. There's even a vengeful God in these examples. Look at the book when we talk about Moses and Pharaoh. That's the same God. The same God. Look at what happens to Pharaoh's army. That's the same God. Or, don't consider those examples. Don't consider any of those examples and keep doing whatever you want to do. That's why we have these problems, because you're just not getting it. And he wants you to understand, because he don't want you to be lost. He wants you to get it. He wants you to understand. He wants people to bring the message to you so you understand, but he don't want them chasing after you, because he wants their soul to be saved too. He wants that no man should have to endure to the point where they breaking because they chasing up after you, trying to help you. That's not the way that works. So you can consider the source, consider the consequences, and consequently You're setting the new example if you don't. You say, well, I'll do whatever I want to do. Okay. Okay. You're now setting a modern example as to why that's not the way. Even though you have all of those other examples, you're now the example. You don't want to be that example. You don't want to lose your life trying to be the example of the new Pharaoh, even one of his army. You don't even want to be the one of the examples of the Pharaoh's army. It has a story. It has a consequence. It has an outcome, and it's all undesirable, and it's well known, even if you don't read the book, even if you watch it on television. These examples, which has the same fate as the Pharaoh and his army, because you're not the Pharaoh. You just act like everything the example was, so the fate is also yours. You're not the Pharaoh. I get it. You don't compare me to, okay, I get it. No, I'm not going to do it. Okay, don't do it. But you're having these mental health declines because while you sitting there trying to say that you're not the Pharaoh, you're not one of his minions in his army either, you're still exhibiting the same behavior, the same pattern of behavior that was conditioned in this manner for you to behave in this pattern. This behavioral pattern is nothing new. The outcome and consequences are not new either. And while you're looking for the victims that you're preying upon to turn around and exact their revenge, that's never how it works. When the Pharaoh and his army was chasing after Moses and the children of Israel, God could have said, hey, stop running, take up arms, you will win. He could have said that at any given time. But that's not what he did. He did it himself. He used the weather. He used the water. He used fire. He used his own resources and let the people get away. The target, get away, escape, move out of the way. They didn't even have to witness what happened with the army because it all happened under the veil of the water. So when you thinking that you are veiling yourself from what God can't see, or you sinning, even though you sin, pray, even though you're sinning, because if you read that Bible, I know a lot of people not going to do that before they really, really have to. But if you read it, it shows you, even in the midst of your sins, God hears you. Even in your ignorance, he going to help you. You having a mental health decline, and even in your mental health decline, guess what? He is still specializing in the impossible. You're unaware, but God helps you even with the things you cannot see, just as well as the things you can see. And you wonder, why is it that somebody who is encountering so many problems, I know we targeting these people, I know they need help, I know they don't have the ability to thrive because we are the very ones that's oppressing them from having that ability. I know. How are they getting through? Why haven't you gone crazy? Why haven't you snapped and caused fatalistic problems for everybody in your community or some community somewhere? Because God specializes in the impossible. And the only thing you're doing is creating new scenarios for God to show the same message each and every time. And it's slowly chipping away at your mental health because you fail to comprehend and you looking for the vengeance to come from the wrong place. Those babies who are dying from starvation, they're not going to come out of the grave and come and get you. Consider the source. Those people who fight for this country and you're targeting them, you're abusing them, you're using them. You're harming their family members while their service members are deployed. Consider the source. Consider the source. You think that you're taking away people's jobs. It's not just about the job. It's about you didn't consider the source. The source that made them overqualified for the positions that they're in, that you took away disproportionately to put people who are not qualified in the position. Now think about this, people who are underqualified for the leadership roles you're in. Think about this. Who is the real target there? You're in a position where you don't know you're being ambushed. Then when you finally realize it is too late, and the very people that could have helped you, you've isolated yourself from. You're not qualified for the position. Don't take the position. You need to start considering the source. Consider the source. Do not side on the wrong side of history any longer. It's time to stand up. It's time to reclaim a stable foundation for you to stand on. It's time to recognize the source. Because that's all this whole thing has been doing. It's creating the environment for this purpose, for you to consider the source in such a bold way, a bold and holistic way that's undeniable. That's what this is all created to do. And when you realize that, don't let it be said it was too late, because now you open your eyes and it's an eternity for you. And meanwhile, behind you, everybody who was behind you, they have a new awareness and another chance. A lot of people woke up despite Hulk Hogan having opened his eyes in eternity. And all the good that Hulk Hogan did, a lot of people only remember the bad. But God knows your heart. He knows when he should bring a soul home, because he doesn't want that soul to be lost. Don't open your eyes in eternity and it's too late for you to have another chance. Don't open your eyes in eternity because God had to cut your time short before you lose the most invaluable thing in this existence, which is your soul. Don't keep going in the way you're being conditioned by people who don't care about your soul. Because aside from all those other things that everybody's fighting for, the only one thing that matters is the thing that God keep allowing us to endure all these situations for, the salvation of your soul. Nothing else matter. All these distractions, they don't matter, because God specializes in getting you out of those situations for the purpose of saving your soul. So think about this. If you on the straight and narrow, you finally aware, you get it, stay there before you get snatched out too early. Stay there. Don't go back. We can't go back. Didn't you hear that before January a lot? We can't go back. Don't go back. It's not worth it. There's more life to live here. More happiness to be had here. Don't go back. We can't go back. And when you try to go back, please consider the source. God knows your heart, and he don't want to lose that soul. He'll do what he gonna do so he won't lose that soul. So don't harden your heart. Listen to this episode. Hear the plea in the episode. Hear the logic in the episode. Understand. Share. It's time. We can't lose another soul. We can't lose another life. Now, I'm not saying that his soul wasn't saved. I'm saying that God knows when to take a soul out before he loses them. And he gonna take souls out before he loses them. That's the part you need to understand. What your mama say? I brought you in this world, I'd take you out. Yeah, that's love. God love you even more than that. So just remember, for your own mental health and well-being, mental health is physical wealth. Do the right thing now. That's all I'm saying. It's time to do the right thing. See you next episode. Mental health is physical wealth.